Go us.
Double clap there.
You'd hear it. I didn't think you'd hear it.
So I watched it happen.
Oops. Welcome
We're
back,
28
everybody.
episodes in. We still can't clap together.
Yeah, timing's not our strong suit. That's a coach's thing, though, right?
Timing is never our strong suit. Either one of us is always 10 or 15 minutes late to starting this thing, and then
I feel called out. I feel called out.
Well, I was late today, but
that's an attack. I'm going to HR. I'm going to HR, Luke.
Please.
So we got a fun one for you today. I was actually texting Luke about this, and I want to hear his thoughts. I know where I stand. Coaches that join in the workout. Where do you stand on that? How do you feel about that, Coach? If I go to a gym, if I'm the client, and we say, all right, here's the workout for the day, let's get going, and you hop on the sled next to me or hop in the rack next to me. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about that?
That is a interesting question. I don't know. I don't really I guess if it was already put into the workout, like, hey, by the way, in these classes, the coach will be training with you. If that was explicitly said, that might be a little bit different. But you miss out on coaching if you're doing that, right? So then it's just like, what are you paying for? You're paying for maybe the use of the space, I guess. Because you're not getting coached if they're training at the same time. Every once in a while, like maybe like a fun lift, like the Murph or something, or some type of like whatever, like group lift, and you're getting like a lot of people there. I could see where that would be kind of a little bit different. But yeah. By the way, I did that and it sucked last week.
Oh yeah, we got to dive into that. I promise we will. But I was thinking about it, and I think that's the only context that makes sense, right? If it's a big event that's scheduled and set, I don't have anything against coaches that work out alongside clients if they're not on the clock, if they're not being paid, right? If it's like a community event that you go and join a client with, that's a different thing. But I'm firmly of the belief, and curious if we'll get write-ins that feel strongly otherwise, but if you are being paid for your experience and expertise in a coach's eye, I shouldn't see you getting arm farming in the corner. I shouldn't see you pushing a sled. I shouldn't see you flipping tires when you're on the clock being paid to coach. And that doesn't come from any specific example, that I've seen recently, but in the past, I've seen maybe finishers, other coaches I've seen do that, and oftentimes it's the younger and less experienced ones. I think it's an unprofessional move, and it gets under my skin a bit.
It is unprofessional, but our life is all unprofessional, right? We live in a very unprofessional field. I wear shorts and t-shirt to work every day.
Not when I clock in. I put on my professional cap. Then I'll sit here and joke with you all day long, and make some certain jokes, but again, those are not jokes I'm telling in front of clients, right? When I clock in, I hang my hat on it. I'm a professional to a T. I dot my I's, I cross my T's, I take care of business. The jokes that I sit here and send back and forth with you are not the same jokes that I might if I had an elderly woman client. Not the same jokes I would sling her way. That's by no means should it be. That's communication, right? We periodize it to the person we're speaking to. I'll sit here and joke, and the field is a mixed bag. There are unprofessional people. There are super professional people. There are certainly people that have a low bar, and it's my hope that the industry chews them up.
Yeah, where's the line? What's the line? And like, what counts as professional? Like, is professional coaching, or maybe it's like, because I have coworkers that I work with that don't wear shoes. Like, is that unprofessional? I mean, I think I would say that, but I don't know. It's, they have clients and they make more money than me. So because their clientele is pretty good, right? They have some consistency there with that kind of stuff, and their clients don't care if they wear shoes or not. So
in my mind, it comes down to the setting. I think we talked about that a few episodes back. It comes down to what gym are you at and what's the culture there. In most of my experiences, again, I don't say this to call anybody out or single anybody out. A coach, an employee that doesn't have shoes on is a liability and a risk to some extent.
Yeah.
If they drop weight and it cracks their toe, again, think like a lawyer. If I was the gym owner, I assume that I'm going to be at risk because people People are that way. If a client sees a coach do that, they feel that they can do that. Now I've exposed myself to more unnecessary risk, or if they stub their toe, or if I don't know. In my opinion, again, painting in broad strokes, I would consider that an unprofessional move.
Yeah.
In my opinion, though. But hey, I'm not the one that runs that gym, right? That gym owner may say, "Hey, it's fine. I don't care. Have at it." So,
sure.
Teach their own. Teach their own. But
no, exactly. That's a good point. To each their own. But I think there's lines of professionalism too. Like those coaches and different things, they're not also working out with the clients as well. So there's that piece of it. I think that's super unprofessional. I think if you're gonna do that, you might as well just like fucking do something else, because that takes away from like the actual coaching that's going to be done. Like you can't coach somebody while you're working out with someone,
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes, and I've had clients ask me if we have a Metcon class, a conditioning class on like a Saturday morning or something, and there's only one person there. They don't want to work out by themselves. So sometimes I might do some things with them because that's what they want, right? And usually in a class like that, I try to make it super simple exercises, and so it's like you can try to coach those things, but again, you're taking one with the other. You're either like creating the environment and working out with them, or you're just like you're doing more of the hands-on coaching. I think there's both of those things, but I've heard different coaches talk about that too, where they're like, well, I'm trying to create an environment, an atmosphere, and if they see me training really hard, it's going to make them train really hard. And I can kind of understand that, but also you should just be creating that environment on your own, being a coach, right? Like if you can't do that without like showing everybody that you can bench, squat, deadlift super heavy, I think that shows that you're not a very good coach, in my opinion. But
I don't know if I would go that far, but I would agree that, yeah, if you have to lead by example, I don't know if you've created the environment, because that environment should carry on whether you're the one doing it or not doing it.
Yeah.
I would agree if you can create an environment without being the participant. 100%. I don't know. I've seen it a lot, and I don't know what it was, but something just I wanted to talk to you about it and see where your head was at, because I know I've seen it. I know I got opinions on it. And that's how we're opening it up.
That means you're not a fan of like group exercise classes.
Nah, I never have.
Because that's a big part of it, right? They're doing the exercises and coaching as it's going on. Again, so you're not a team player then, is that what you're saying?
No, none of the sports that I did ever were team sports. Are you kidding me? No.
Yes,
no.
Yes.
It's just me. It's me when No. It's just me. I don't want if you look at it
team of one.
That's right. If you look at it through the lens of like school projects, more people is like, I got to worry about more people that are or aren't going to pull their weight. No, thanks. No, thanks. I'm good.
That are going to drag your grade down. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'll take all that pressure, because pressure makes diamonds when it's me.
There you go.
I'm good. I'll handle it. I got it.
I like that. Yeah.
No, Group X is not my scene. Not my scene. I know you enjoy good Pilates class.
I had to. Did I tell you this? To graduate from college, I had to do an unpaid internship, and I had to run all the group exercise classes my senior year at Otterbein. And it was like beach body class. It was I don't know, Swiss ball class, core and quads and whatever, right? It was like all these random classes, and I had to like do it. Like I had to do the exercises with everybody, and man, that was very hard for me to try to add weight doing that as well.
It was hard for you to add weight, like build muscle mass, you mean?
Yeah, like it was hard for me, like personally, because I had like 5 to 10 hours a week of me actually like doing the classes with everybody, and that got old quick, man.
Makes you
hard to coach too.
Makes you
it does make you appreciate what you're doing and how you do it. And I mean, it was a valuable experience because I learned like, okay, these are things that I definitely don't want to do. But it put fitness in a different way too, because you can kind of see where it's like, all right, people kind of like this group-esque atmosphere of like, yeah, I love when the coach does it with me, and whatever.
Yeah, I'm not gonna knock Group X. Not for me, but that sense of community, and we've talked about it with seasonal workouts. That sense of community is powerful when you have someone to your left and your right going through that same level of suffering that you are, at least objectively, right? They're going through the same workout. That motivates some people. It really,
absolutely,
that drives some, and more power to them. And again, I think you can lead a group exercise class. I say this confidently. I know you can lead a group exercise class without working out alongside your clients. I know because I've done it. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, when you're, that's like, I don't know. All right, here's a really rough example, and I hope I don't catch too much backlash for this. But it's like,
here we go.
I can text and eat my fast food burger and drive. I can multitask. It's like, no, you can't. You think you can until the very, terrifying moment where you realize and find out that you cannot. You know what I mean? It's like I can work out alongside my client, and then your client strains something in their back, and the lawyer says, "Well, what happened?" And you say, "Oh, I don't know. I was over here doing my triceps." You think you can until something goes horribly wrong to where you realize you can't do it effectively. I would not advise. Yeah, man, I got strong feelings on it. Doesn't mean, again, if I...
Well, good thing they're not lifting very heavy, right? I guess they could still hurt themselves, but it's like, all right, you hurt yourself with 5 pounds or whatever in a group exercise class.
No, we've talked about it before. If you think like a lawyer, it doesn't matter whether you hurt yourself with 5 or 500 pounds, the settlement is still going to be significant at the end. Because no one has No one has cheap injuries. You don't sue over cheap injuries, right? So, it's not a matter of loads. It's a matter of risk, right? I exposed myself to that risk. Now, when the lawyer says, "Well, what were you doing?" You say, "I was watching them. They had a terrible back angle, and I tried to coach them out of it, and they messed themselves up. And here's the waiver that they signed."
Yeah,
that's a very different tale, right? So again, everyone thinks that they can hop into that class they're leading. Again, that's the important part, and work out. And it's like, no. You go to somebody else's class and join your clients in that way, not in your own. Not when you're supposed to be the expert on the clock. That's not the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know I'd feel so strongly about it, but here we are.
Here we are. I knew you would. You got strong opinions on group exercise, I think.
Me?
I can just see that from you.
No. I'm a very laid-back guy. To each their own. For some people, it's the thing that calls into action, and I celebrate that.
Yeah.
If it works for you, it works for you. It's great.
Exactly.
So our next topic was, I'll let you want to unpack that one?
The silly exercises?
Yeah. Now, to be fair to the people listening, we kind of brainstormed this a few weeks back. Kind of put something together here. But
what a word.
A couple silly exercises.
Silly exercises.
How do you want to unpack that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, silly is just kind of like an interesting word for this. Because I think it's like, exercise is exercise. I guess it has to have context, but... To me, I just think there's better exercises. We could call it silly, though. I guess it's like, that's a silly exercise.
What's our first one on the list?
First one on the list is this is a big one, but let's do some of the ones that I think are like easier ones, like lunging, like doing 2 things at once, like squatting and curling, or like lunging and curling. Or you're doing 2 things at once, almost like a group exercise class. If we want to go back to a group exercise class, there's a lot of kind of double compound movements at the same time.
I think it's important that we take it on a case-by-case basis here, because I don't want to get too much hate mail off one episode.
Everyone that works in group exercise is going to be like, what the hell? Why did you shit on us for 30 minutes today?
Was that really necessary, coaches?
Yeah.
Lunge.
Or, here's one, burpees. Let's go burpees. I think burpees are not even a silly exercise. I think they're just a dumb exercise. I think it's just a waste of time. If you want to move, just move. Like, just go on a run or something. Like, who cares about, like, I don't know. Or just jump. I don't understand the, like, up and down. And even, like, with my football background, like, up downs are the same thing as burpees, basically. And, like, it's just punishment. And people just like punishment and like how punishment looks. So that's why it's in a program.
The only context that I can imagine in which you would need to have burpees programmed is if there was some sort of event, task, challenge, or test in which you had burpees to complete. I
Some
don't.
CrossFit shit right there or something.
Well, that's why I tried to
That would
word that
be
as
like-
specifically as I could.
Shoot, so let's get some more strays out there. Let me just call everybody out.
I'm not a big fan of burpees. They've made their way into a program here or there, but they are by no means a staple that I feel has to be in any program. Not the biggest fan of them. But some people, if you want them, then I may put them in. But they're certainly, and again, we go through the framework of what's the goal we want, what are the methods we're going to use, and what are the exercises that we're going to implement. Burpees falls very, very far down on that list of exercises to input. So what's the next one you got?
Next one is a single leg deadlift to row.
Ooh.
Single leg deadlift to row.
I'm actually going to throw a curveball here, and I'll get behind it. I'll support it. Yeah. There's my context.
Just support it just because it's...
Well, I think assuming you can do both of them really well, there's a lot of benefit to that. You're obviously getting a strong hinge in. There's an anti-rotary component, and you're getting a horizontal pull. I see all this beneficial if done well. Would that be a starting place for me with someone that's never trained and has terrible balance? No.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be. But I don't dislike it. So I don't know. I might say
interesting.
That one gets a thumbs up for me. How do you feel about it?
Hopefully it'll show it. I'm definitely a thumbs down here. Oh. You know how it gives you like the thumbs up? Where's the thing? It doesn't. It's not doing it right now, but
of course
thumbs
when
down
we needed
for
to
me.
come through, it doesn't light up. Thumbs down for you. Okay. Do elaborate.
Unless it's a warm up or a movement prep or something. For me personally, I would rather us just load things heavier. Like let's load up a single leg deadlift heavier, or let's load up a row heavier and get more stimulus from that one movement than trying to combine two things at the same time. Now, I do like those two more than I would like a lunge and a curl or something, or a lunge and an overhead press. But that still is not, to me, is the most beneficial thing that we could be doing with our time.
No, I'd agree with you. It's far down on my list. I was trying to give it a shot, but it's low down on my list. So though approved,
yeah,
it gets the pass early.
Yeah, like if we were gonna do a hip dominant day, we were getting ready for deadlifting or some type of deadlift variation. That could be something I could see we do in a movement prep or a warm up, something where you're hitting the movement, you're doing a couple things, adding a little more stability to it, but I don't know.
You got me on the fence now.
Yeah, get you on the fence.
No,
that's me most of the time.
I'm gonna stick with. I still like it. Again, if done well. I don't know that many people are gonna do that one well. I mean, a single leg hinge is tough for a lot of people. So now we're gonna add a row to that.
Well, here you go. What about like a squat to a press, like a thruster? This seems to be a bigger exercise in fitness. Like
I'll get behind this one.
Yeah.
Again,
a squat to a press.
I don't know. Maybe we're going to be on opposite side of the fence here for a lot of these, but for metabolic work, yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of the Olympic list. In that I enjoy seeing them done. They're beautiful movement.
They're dope.
Do I think they're necessary to coach in a program? No, of course not. But if you can do them, we're going to put it in. So like a push press or like a traditional jerk or split jerk. Fans of those. Those are
I think they're badass. I think it's one of those things where it's like, you know what, it's cool. And if it's cool and you're getting some benefit from it and they're doing it all right, like, yeah, let's program it. But it takes time to teach that, and if you've got the time to do it, and you want to do it, like most football teams feel like that's the cool thing, and they like to see that and show that off in recruiting and stuff. Like, yeah, let's do it then. We got to coach it right and make sure that they have, like, it can't look like shit. It can't be like a starfish catch into like a whatever. But yeah. I'm a fan there too.
Yeah.
Thrusters, I will say, I only like thrusters for a metabolic piece. I only like it when it's like, all right, you got 30 seconds, get as many thrusters as you can in this time. Or you've got like a 10-to-1 ladder, and that's because you're doing a lot of moving, like all the way like ass to grass and come all the way up and lock your arms all the way out. I really like that.
Same. Not so silly, it seems, eh?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe not so silly. Silly, not so silly. Is that a new segment we're going to make?
We'll find out here and now. We'll see how this one does. So squat to press, what other ones?
Big one. This was the one that I thought was interesting. Nordic curls.
Love it.
Nordic curls. Are they a silly exercise or not?
Love it.
Huge fan? You are?
Pretty big fan.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Nothing to say. You're like, all right, yeah.
For a youth athlete, you and I have both coached it a lot. I think it makes sense. For adults that just sit in a chair in an office desk all day long and have very inactive posterior chain, love it. For people that are runners, love it. For people that need to build stronger knees, hips, and lower back, and glutes, love it. I think that covers a large part of people. Boy, I'm really struggling to find a population I don't love it for.
Okay, yeah. I think there's better exercises actually.
Ooh. What you got?
I think that if you did a glute ham raise, I think that would be a better exercise than a Nordic curl, just because a lot of people don't have the strength when they're coming down to the bottom of a Nordic curl to like keep that strength at the bottom and then come back up. So if we're just going through the lowering portion and the eccentric and we just want to load that or like work on that portion, yeah, I think Nordic curls are fine. But if we're trying to really work on like the full range of motion of the hamstring and the posterior and the glutes and everything, I definitely would prefer a glute ham raise. And you can, the way that we have done it, and a nice way to do this if you have a glute ham raise machine, is you put bands on the wall or you put bands set up, and then you can stagger the resistance, right? So if you can't go all the way up and down by yourself yet, then you can use a band and then slowly change that resistance so you're still hitting that range of motion all the way up. And then eventually you can do a body weight. And then maybe we can add some weight from there. Because you can't really add weight on a Nordic curl either. You know what I mean? So
if you do them right, I don't think you need to.
Yeah, but how many people... Here. Yeah, how many athletes do you know off the top of your head that could do Nordic curls really well? Like come all the way down and back up?
We can talk off air. We'll name drop because I want to respect people's privacy. Off the top of my head, I can think of one.
Just one. Yeah,
I can think of one.
We probably know exactly who it is.
Sorry, I'll say two. I'll see two, and we'll talk about it later. But I see two. The reality is to go from top down and focus on the eccentric portion only is a bear. It's wildly tough to do. And you're right, you can band them and come back up that way, but in my mind, until you've wrung all the benefit out of the eccentric portion, I personally, in my opinion, I don't know that I'd be in a hurry to work people to the concentric phase. I think you're going to put a lot of stress on the muscle in a position where it's pretty compromised. And you have far more real world experience working on this exercise with people. So I defer to you, but I just in theory and in practice, I think you'd get a real similar beneficial and safer adaptation by focusing on the eccentric portion only, and when they're really ready, adding in that concentric body weight piece to it. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I like it as a good starting point, and then I think there's places to keep moving from there, almost like our progression regression thing. Yeah. You know, we go back to that. I think that's another place to keep moving. And after you get the base of the eccentric part, like let's keep trying to make more load and put a more range of motion through it, that kind of stuff. So there you go. Silly, not silly. We're on different sides there. I guess I'd say it's not silly, but I think there's better things.
using Nordic curls, strictly and specifically talking about Nordic curls, you can go with the eccentric version until they're ready for the concentric version. Or I'm also a big fan of leg curls, whether you're doing them with a slider or a slide board or discs that have small wheels on them, whatever implement it is that you want to use. I'm a big fan of leg curl progressions, kind of being that bridging the gap component to the Nordic curl. Because, again, how many people have you seen do a single leg curl, both the concentric and eccentric variation, single leg concentric?
Not too many. Not too many. That's a good point.
Same two I was thinking of before. I'm thinking of now.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, your leg again. If you do it well, keeping your hips bridged the entire time, not breaking them, because everyone thinks my hips are up and they, hips are down here. Like, no, they're not. And you lift them up and then they cramp so quick and they just fold on the floor. That's a torturous exercise. That is a bear of an exercise. If you do it well. Oof, it's humbling. It's humbling, and I love it. I think that's a far more effective variation than trying to work a contraption where I'm banding someone to help them come up. It's like, how about we just move body weight really well? Really well.
No, I like that too. I like that too a lot.
So, yeah, Nordic curl, some may say silly. I stand by it. I think it's a true test for clients that think they have a whole lot of strength.
Yeah.
You do a 5-second count on the way down for a Nordic curl. Good luck.
Yep.
Good luck.
Absolutely. Another one. Let's go adding in like half Bosu balls or Bosu ball exercises. I'm trying to think of something specifically right now. Like single leg deadlift on a half Bosu ball, or what else is there that we do with you got any other exercises that use those two pieces of equipment?
That use Bosu ball specifically?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this when we talked about building out a home gym and building out equipment. I don't think you should ever build out the home gym thinking, well, should I get this thing so that I can do da-da-da-da-da. I think Bosu balls for the most part, don't help as much as they're marketed to help.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to challenge stability and balance, stand on one leg. For most people, that's a pretty tough thing to do. Let's say that's easy for whatever reason. Stand on a pillow or a pad or a mat. Kind of pretty tough to do. If you live near a beach, go stand on one foot in the sand. It's a very unstable surface. It's pretty tough to do. So if the goal is to challenge stability, just get on one leg. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to get a fancy piece of equipment for that. Yeah, for balancing, for doing all these crazy wild exercises, I don't know that it's giving you as much benefit as you think. What I will say that I find it useful for is for the padding of it, because the bottom side of it is flat, the top side being rounded. It gives you a good cushion or pad if you're going to do some kind of ab work or lying work, because it raises up your shoulders or it can raise up your hips to make what would otherwise be pretty tough exercises on the spine a little bit more manageable. So if you need some extra support and you happen to have one, I think for some core exercises it's helpful. Again, I'm talking about like a crunch. It helps hold your shoulder up so that you don't again, these are like small things to give you assistance. I like that too. It's not like I'm saying, you can use crunch. A Bosu ball, put it under your lower back, and then do these, leg kick ups, and you're getting all this extension in your spine and more eccentric work on your abs. Shut your mouth. Not any of that. No, I'm talking about assistance on very simple, basic exercises for people with limited mobility. So get that in your head, everyone listening. Sorry,
there you
what
go.
were you saying there? Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was good. I was just thinking of like a single leg sit up or something where like your feet are put into something, right? Like you have your feet anchored in one foot, and if your back is on the ball, you could probably get a little more eccentric work, a little more stretch through the hip if you wanted to. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot of exercises that I would use them for. Maybe if we used to have a ton of them, and the kids would fuck around and they'd like grab them and they'd like run into each other like as hard as they can.
Oh, you're talking about the exercise balls, the fully round ones.
Yes. I like stir the pots with those. Like, we're talking about core exercises again, right? Those are the only things I really would use them for. I don't know, right?
I think same. Well, let me take that back. If you're a PT, I think they have a lot of utility.
Yeah, like a physical therapist, sure.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I should clarify. Yes, yeah. If you're in physical therapy, I think that they have a lot of benefit.
Yeah.
But again, if we're talking for the seemingly healthy population, potentially the athletic population, I don't know. I would only use them for certain core patterns. You can use them for leg curls, but again, because you're sitting up so high on them, it's kind of awkward. Again, slider pads, they're the best, like little carpet sliders. They're the most useful small piece of inexpensive equipment you can add to your gym for just like plank saws, for reverse lunges, for
lateral lunges,
the leg curl variations. I mean, they just open up so much.
There you go. That's a good one too. Yeah. You got any more? You're thinking of any silly exercises you want to chat about?
Now we kind of, I don't know if we officially said it, but lunging with curling or lunging with pressing.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of that, whether you're going to lunge laterally, reverse, or forward. I think anytime you're dealing with the angles of the hips, knees, and ankles, and then asked to do something with your upper body, we're certainly not going to be loading that aggressively. And it becomes more of a coordination issue or challenge than anything else. It's not the best use of our time. I don't find that wildly beneficial.
I guess if it's a coordination thing, then maybe if that's what you're going for, but I don't know.
But again, if it's coordination, I think there's other things we could do better with our time. So lunging to curling, lunging to pressing. Maybe there's a scenario in which they may make sense down the road, but off the top of my head, it's not going to be the first thing I reach for.
Yep.
That was a solid one, Coach. Anything else you want to hit on?
No, I think that was good. I'm trying to think of any other silly exercises. I do really like band work, different type of band exercises, but I guess now we're getting into more equipment than we're getting into exercises. But like clamshells, here we go. Clamshells are like a monster walk. You know what I'm talking about? Like a lateral band walk. Do you think that's a silly exercise?
No. So clamshells, great exercise. Monster walks, great exercise. Purely lateral walks, I think good exercises. I'm a big fan of quadruped work. So for those listening on your hands and knees, things like a fire hydrant or an abduction or external rotation, I'm a big fan of those. What I think happens that does bug me sometimes is people don't understand what the goal of the exercise is. Meaning, if you're doing a clamshell and your hips are facing the ceiling and you're swinging your hips as you lift, or if you're arching your lower back, that's your spine and your hips trying to compensate for some lack of mobility somewhere in the kinetic chain, which again is fine. Everyone's dealing with their own stuff, but let's not sit here and do 1,000 clamshells with bad form and think that you're doing yourself a favor, right?
Yes.
So I think you need to be hyper aware. The more focused and isolated the movement is, like clamshells are a glute exercise, and we could sit here and argue about what part of the glutes and this, that, whatever. But they're a very isolated exercise, so the amount of focus required to do them well is pretty high. I mean, you got to be very aware of what's moving and what's not, what's compensating and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
So I love all those exercises. Big fans. Do I think that they should be main lifts for the day? No. But I think they definitely serve a purpose in the program.
Yeah, not silly. There you go.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Short version, not silly.
No, those are good ones. Yeah, cool. No, that's all I got. I thought that was a great episode, talking about our opinions on some certain exercises, and maybe people listening and watching along can take some things from that and apply them to their own training.
Hopefully, write in. If you have questions, we'd love to hear them.
Absolutely. All right, episode 28 in the books.
You want to take us out, Coach?
I can try. No trying. I can. I will.
There you go.